All right, hello. My name is Nick Baines. I'm a kite surfer of 22 years, as well as a kite surfing instructor since 2008, as well as a water sports instructor for a lot of other different sports. So, just here to give you a rundown on all the resources I use for looking at the weather, as well as the waves and the wind. I guess that's all weather, but yeah, to show you all the resources I use before going out and getting on the water. So first, I'm going to show you weather underground. I have my Rodanthe station right here, which is Webble Shores, which is the closest one to my location. Just here I have the radar. Got some storms coming in, so always a good resource to see. We can animate it to see if they're going to be affecting our location. Right now, it looks like we're probably in the clear. Pretty typical for storms to pop up here in the Swan Quarter slash Stumpy Point area. Um, Most of the time doesn't affect us, but just the northern part of the Outer Banks as well as Roanoke Island. Um, I have the weather for today. I have the hourly forecast, which I like to look at for knowing if it's going to be like a day with a bit of rain. I look at the precipitation chances, and I'm able to see when the most likely chance of rain is going to start. I have the 10-day forecast to see the extended forecast, some showers along the way this week, but not much. We only see rainfalls in the zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.04 inch range, which is not much, not the thing to worry about. Yeah, low percentages here. Not very good at the wind forecasting on this website, so we have other resources for that. Next, I'm going to look at the wind. Yeah, why not? My favorite resource, I Kitesurf. Really good for all of North America. It gives you thousands or hundreds of these live wind meters. They're all the yellow ones. That's going to be your paid membership. Highly recommend it. Click on my local one here, the Real Slick. Gives me the wind. Right now we have 2 mile per hour wind ranging between 1.2 and 3.2 miles per hour. Air temperature 79 degrees. This one's unique because it has the water temperature. Right now 81. Quite warm. Nothing to worry about there for wetsuits, that's for sure. Here I have the graph with all my forecast models that I like to use, TRRM, WRF, the NAM models, the high definition models as well. And based on those, you can see what the wind's actually doing and compared to the models, and then you can make a better judge which model is more accurate for the day. Shay Gibson, one of the forecasters, always told me it's good to have a lot of these models on. And yeah, it's a good resource that you're paying to use, and might as well use it. Gives you all the wind directions, what to expect. Right now we have north northwest. Nothing's really following it, so who knows what's happening? That's the weather sometimes here in the Outer Banks. Down here we have the forecast for the next few days. Right now I have the WRF online. We can switch to the TRRM, which is typically very accurate. Uses a combination of all the high definition models, really accurate in the first 36 hours. Uses all the high definition models as well as AI modeling. All the model info is right here. If you just click that, it'll tell you what each model is. Really cool resource for all you weather nerds. And then, yeah, I can make a judgment on what sizes I'm going to be using and what kind of sessions to expect. So, lots of northeast wind right now. For me, personally, that means a lot of wave sessions, maybe some ocean winging. So, yeah, cool resource there. Here we have a pro forecast written up by meteorologists every day at 8 a.m. Today it's by Hank Pomerantz, really good forecaster. He's going to give a written detailed forecast on what's happening. Once again, we saw there's going to be a north switch today, so probably low pressure coming in from the northwest. We're expecting winds in 13 to 17 knot range here at 4 o'clock, so hopefully it follows that model and we see those winds today. And then we also have a written forecast for the next 3 days, just a brief written forecast, very useful. I really read this forecast quite a bit, maybe a little bit less on the extended forecast. Typically, I'm making my own judgment based off of these models up here. NAM 3K is going to be your high definition, really good for the first 48 hours. Good resource here in North America with our GFS modeling. But yeah, so that's good. 48 hours. Looks like, yeah, could have some bit more wind than we were expecting, which is always a good thing. All right, next I'm going to look at the waves. I'm going to use my resource Surfline here. Surfline's a really good resource if you live in coastal areas. It's going to give me the wave height, the tides for today. If I come down here to the forecast, once again, this is also a paid service. We're going to have extended wave forecast, really accurate within 5 days. I would say not so accurate beyond that. So we're going to ignore that 8 to 10 foot right now. Hopefully it does happen. And then also extended tide charts. Always good to check. Some areas are more tidal than others. Good to learn how tides are going to affect your session where you live. Sometimes tidal currents running with the wind, it's going to take power out of your sail. Sometimes it's running against the wind. It might add a little power to your sail, make it easier to stay upwind. So good to learn how that affects your area. Here we don't have to worry too much about how much beach we have, but in other areas tidal difference is greater, and sometimes there might not be much beach there on high tide. So things to think about before you go and use session. Yeah, so that's Surfline. Another good resource for tides if you don't live near a coastal area is going to be tides for fishing. If you not a coastal area, but just not an area serviced by Surfline, tides for fishing is a really good, reliable resource to use around the whole world. And then we also have the Lightning app, good for looking at weather before you go out on the water. If we're on the actual phone app, you can click on all these different lightning strikes. It'll tell you exactly when it occurred and also how far away it is. We're always looking for it to be at least 25 kilometers beyond your distance to kiteboard safely. So it'd be like in this Manio region from my location for safe distance. And on the phone app, you can actually use that and set that up to alert you if you have strikes within that radius, which is really good resource to have before you go on the water. Don't ever want to mess with the lightning. Electricity and kites do not go together well, as we have learned. All right, next we have NOAA buoy station 44095, which is my local Oregon Inlet buoy. It's actually not too far away from my location, and here I'm going to get the wave height as well as the swell period and the swell direction. And what that means is I have a pretty good understanding based off of all that on what the waves are doing. It takes a long time to learn it, but look at this before you go down to the beach. You'll start to understand how these numbers work with each other and what to expect when you get down to the ocean, whether the waves are going to be big and soft or maybe big and steep and powerful, or small and runny. Who knows? Just start looking at this information. It also gives you the water temperature in the ocean, so 78.8 degrees to decide what suit I'm going to wear. And yeah, I just obsess over this buoy. Next, we have the NOAA Hurricane Center. Here, we're going to have a map of the North Atlantic, and if we actually had anything of interest, currently it'd be on this map, and it would give you all the information on what's going on with that storm. So really important, especially if you live here in the southeast all the way to Texas this time of year. Always a huge issue. And lastly, I have the pressure surface analysis map, and this is going to show me all the high and low pressure systems moving across the United States. Right now we have this low moving in from the northwest, so that's what's going to be generating our wind today after it pushes through. And then what we're generally looking for here, especially in the springtime, is for those Bermuda high pressures. So if that was occurring right now, we would have high pressure coming offshore of the Outer Banks, low pressure squeezing in over the Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia area. Sometimes it lasts 3 to 5 days, and the closer that low gets, the windier it gets as the pressure gradients tighten. Yeah, so those are all the resources that we're using for North America. Lastly, I'll show you Wind Guru. And this is what I'm using for when I'm traveling. I'm just going to go, we're already on Doclo. This is the last one I've used. This is where the last time I traveled internationally where I went. But this is really good typically for all Europe, Africa, South Africa, pretty much anywhere else when you're just not in North America. And it's going to give you all the information in knots. Good to note that. If you see these magentas, you know it's going to be really, really windy. Even the red sometimes, depending on where you're at, this can be quite under forecasted. So this actually might be a 30 knot day instead of 25 knots. So yeah, that's all I got to show you today. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. If there's more resources that you use that I should have a look at, also leave that in the comments. All right, thank you.